Peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome to the second installation of our three-part series, we'll call it. We'll have another part after this with our brother Ashriel Moore, all the way over in Dimona, Israel, from the Village of Peace. We appreciate our brother for getting on today and having this conversation with us, going into a deep dive of what practical solutions that the community has placed from holidays to curriculum in the school. What has the community built and established that we can take and duplicate around the world? So today, again, joined by Ashriel Moore. If you want to introduce yourself, brother.
Yes, sir, my brother Chris. Well, first of all, thanks again for having me on. And I'm loving what it is we building behind the scenes. Most people don't know, the things that we kind of lay the foundation for on. But I think this is important for us to continue to jump on and to have this open discussion where our brothers and sisters can be able to actually tune in and really get a whiff of what it is that we're working on behind the scenes, able to actually get an inside look into what we managed to build here in Israel as the model community for what it is that we could be able to replicate in other places. And so I think this is very important for us to continue to just extract, because all too often we try to reinvent the wheel. And reinventing the wheel is not necessary, especially when you have a working model. Now, not to say that the model is perfect, right? There are a lot of things that will be refined as we go on. But I think the important part is that we have a working model, we have the foundation, and then we take that foundation and just kind of refine it into the better model, the better version as we go along. Because, iPhone 15, 16, 17 didn't start at iPhone 15, 16,
That's right.
17. It started at a regular normal iPhone, but then each year, as they continue to understand where they could be able to level up, where they may have had bugs and issues, what may be most appropriate for the time that we're living in now, what type of adjustments, changes need to be made to be able to make the next version a better version. Not to say that this is the last version, but it'll be a better one than what we had beforehand. And so what
Yep.
we built in the Village of Peace in Israel, I think, is the model version. And then now we can just take it and just build on that. And so I'm a member of the community, a spokesperson for the community, one who represent the ideas of the community, but not only of the community itself, but of our people wherever we are in the world. Because at the end of the day, when you say that you're part of HBCU Inc., that's helping Black communities unite wherever they are in the world, and we know that we're not only on the African continent, but we're also in the diaspora. And so it's important for us to be able to connect the diaspora, but also reconnect to our homeland, which is Israel as well. All too often we get caught in the conception of Israel being someplace far out in some political model called the Middle East that have no relevancy at all. But we're talking about Northeastern Africa, and we have to start to view it as such. And so I think that what we're doing now, Chris, is certainly preparing the way for what it is that we need to do in our generation. Our parents and our ancestors, they did what they needed to do to bring us to this point. And so now it's our responsibility to take it from this point and to make it as great as it could actually be in our generation, so that we can be able to leave something sustainable for the generations to come. And so that's what we're working on here.
And again, like you iterated, helping Black Communities Unite Incorporated, we're helping all Black communities. So you being our Village of Peace being one of our model communities in the diaspora, it only makes sense for us to get on and talk to you and pick your brain and talk about the legacy that's been left for us. Also talking about how, again, like you said before, our community, you get to a point where you tried every method and you're trying over and over again, doing the same thing. Energy gets stuck. So you have a whole bunch of stuck energy, and we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do, what we're going to do. I don't know. It says in scripture, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish.
That's
So
right.
if you're in a situation where we all want freedom, liberation, justice, equality, and all these things, and we're not working to or we're working towards things, but we're using the same methods from the 60s, and we're going around in a circle, and we're not breaking free from that energy cycle into something new, which is what's going on here right now. Breaking free of that past energy and leaving, I don't want to say leaving the past behind, but moving
Mm.
to the future. Where are we going to be at in 50 years? Where are we going to be at in 100 years? What are we going to be? How are we going to build our communities? What businesses are we going to have? What holidays are we going to celebrate? It's more than just coming together and protesting and just talking about things. It's building. It's going behind the scenes, day in, day out, and just building something that's going to better our communities. So, with that being said, I actually want. I've been. This is one of the major questions that people have been asking me, and
Before the questions, Chris, before
go
the
ahead.
question, I got kicked out of Instagram Live.
Got you. I'm gonna add you right back. You got it.
Yep.
So yeah, one of the major questions that people have been asking me, and I wanted to ask you, like first and foremost, do you guys practice Judaism? That's a major
So no,
question we're asked, and I really want you to answer that question.
so no, we don't practice Judaism, and it's important to understand the difference. We are Israelites. We are Hebrew Israelites. We have those in our midst who are also of the tribes of Judah,
Mhm,
but we have to remember that the tribes of Israel are made up of 12 tribes,
mhm,
and not everybody were actually from the area that is called Judea. Now, after the Second Temple period, where the temple was actually destroyed, you had specific small sects, right? You had the primary ones were the Sadducees, the
mhm.
Pharisees, and the Essenes, right?
Yep.
But you also had some other smaller sects that didn't really manage to continue from there. And so from the Pharisaic sect, that's where you had the development of bodies of work that had developed into what is called today rabbinical Judaism.
Hmm.
We don't practice rabbinical Judaism. We practice the tenets of the first temple time, which will be called the pre-exilic, because the rabbinical Judaism actually developed mostly. You had what was called the Babylonian Talmud. So these were writings from sages that were exiled to Babylon, and then you had the Jerusalem Talmud. And so these conversations then developed into a body of work that is today called the um, the rabbinical Judaism, and then you have interpretations in there of rabbis and of other sages throughout the generations who have interpreted things based on their understanding, and then their communities continue to follow them, giving them that position of power and authority to be able to actually um, uh, um, uh, bring that information to life, right? And use those foundations as what they would understand to be the practice of Judaism. So we don't practice those. We are strictly biblical Torah people. So that means that we are going only in accordance with the 5 books of the Torah. That's our foundation. That's what we practice. So we practice what will be called the Israelite traditions and customs, and that'll be called today. That would have been prescribed to be practiced in the land. In Nigeria, the Igbo will call that omenana.
Hmm.
And so knowing that 25% of our people who were taken into the Western Hemisphere were actually taken from the Bight of Biafra, many of them actually identified as Israelites. And you still have those Israelite tribes who are remaining there, mainly the Igbo on the west coast of Africa. Then we understand there's a direct line between also the Beta Israel Ethiopian community. They also continue to practice the first temple practices, customs, and traditions. And so that's what we subscribe to. So no, we do not practice Judaism.
Thank you for that explanation and that answer. I guess to go forward with that, do you guys believe in Jesus? I think a lot of people want to hear that, and when I would probably like if you want to go into a deep dive on that, Yeshua, the difference and everything like that.
Right. So it's also important, one thing that the Greeks and the Romans had an amazing way of operating was in transliterating information, taking it from its original language, original meaning, and giving it a Greco-Roman falsified far away meaning. It had nothing to do with the Israelite foundation that these people had represented. And so when you say Jesus, it's important that you understand that that is a name that was transliterated. It started with Yeshua ben Yosef, Yeshua the son of Joseph and Mary.
Yep.
And then they transliterated, the Greeks transliterated the name to Jesus because there was no, they couldn't pronounce a sh, a sound, SH or sheen sound. So they transliterated it into a language where they were able to actually pronounce. So they would say Isu.
Yep.
And Isus. And then what the Latins did then, they translated the name then from Greek into Latin. They simply would pronounce it as either Isu or Jesus.
Yep.
Right? And then in the 15th century, when the J was actually added to the English language, and the English language then became the primary language of translation of the books of the Bible, then they said the J, let's just add the J. So it went from Yeshua to Isu to Jesus or Esu, and then to Jesus. But we're not even talking about the same person. Forget about the name. We're not even talking about the same person, the same idea, because they say then he was the Christos or the Christ or the anointed one, or the and he's the only one who could hold on to that title. But when you look at the information that had been uncovered in 1948 with the finding of what is called the Dead Sea Scrolls, you would be able to see then in there the concept of a Messiah or Mashiach was not one that was specifically given to a person. It was a concept that was a plural concept. And in Hebrew identity, you had many Messiahs, you had many Mashiachim, you had those. Being a Messiah or being a Mashiach was simply one who was brought under the direct command of God. So all of the kings were Mashiachim or Messiahs. The priest were Mashiachim or Messiahs. The priestess were also Mashiachim or Mashiachot or Messiahs, and the prophets were Mashiachim or Messiahs. So all of these people, it was just different periods of time where people were given revelation, and then they brought that revelation to the people. And most times it wasn't a good revelation. It was about the fact that the children of Israel had strayed from their way, and they were then coming to give this word that was given to them through inspiration, right, to the people to be able to put the people back on the right path. And so that's what the person who was called Yeshua ben Yosef also was a part of that lineage. Not just him, but there were other people also during that period of time. You remember when they took him on the mountain, and he was asking, they were asking, Lord, who are you? And he asked, who do they say we are, or I am?
Who do they say I am? You're right.
Who do they say I am? Right? You're in the lineage of Jeremiah. Yeah, because you had housed that same spirit that these people who had preceded you housed, and you came with the word that was in alignment with it, because he had asked also, search the scriptures, and in them you will find of me. But what scriptures existed during that period of time? We're talking about what? Between 4 BCE to about 30 CE, right? This period of time, there was only one scripture.
Yeah.
There was no Christianity as we know it to be today. It didn't exist. So he was talking about specifically, I mean, he was talking about the Passover.
That's right.
He was talking about washing your hands, as were some of the customs and traditions. He was talking about these things that were in alignment with Israelite tradition. If you go and you look in the books of the Torah.
That's right.
So this person could not be this imaginary figure that had been created in Rome.
You're right.
So that they can be able to inject into him all of their paganism.
That's right.
And then cause him now to become, in the minds of people, somebody who represents their agenda. So far off from who the Hebrew and the Israel. Do you think really that Yeshua, as the person who was fighting off the Romans and the Greeks, would actually take on all of their principles and their moral standards and
And their
their
holiday.
customs and their name.
Yep,
Really? I mean, they were his enemies. The Romans were the ones who crucified him.
that's right.
So, it don't take a lot to really go deep into these things. But, and then you look at the photo of who's been called Jesus today. That photo is a photo that was drawn by Michelangelo. He was commissioned to draw that photo, and this was simply a cousin of the person who had commissioned him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just drawn. But this figure now that he drew in the 16th century, right, that you would be able to see in the Sistine Chapel,
Mm-hmm.
because he had drew all of those things as well in the Sistine Chapel in Rome. You could clearly see that this is motivated by Roman pagan ideology, which has nothing at all to do with Israelite traditions and customs.
Yep.
So no, we don't believe in the figure that Rome had provided to our people to be Jesus Christ. Absolutely not. But we do recognize the fact that there have been people in the line of divine who had came with a mission and a purpose and a word that was inspired by the God of Israel in alignment with all of the previous prophets and prophetess and other
Mm-hmm.
anointed persons. And Yeshua would be one of those people as well.
That's right. All right, brother. We had to stop there and clarify that just for people to understand. Like you said, there's been a Roman presence, a Greek presence that's been injected into Christianity, that's made it into something that's really what it's not supposed to be. It's been paganized.
Yes,
Even
sir.
even to the weekdays, Sunday being based off the sun, Monday being based off the moon, the holidays, Christmas, Easter, it all comes back to this Roman tradition, and paganism that was injected into a beautiful gospel that our Messiah was preaching. African
See
people
that?
European holiday. That's right. That's right,
See
brother.
that?
Because when you get to a point where you got Christmas season coming around the corner, Halloween right around the corner, and this is spooky season. This is what they call it, Spooktober, and this is what they believe their God is, a spook god. And you get to a point where you're teaching your kids all these lies, and you do it in good faith, but at the same time, you're sowing a bad seed. So that seed grows, and now you have spiritual blindness that covers the earth. So going forward from there, brother, this is going to be a hot topic. Going into how are you guys with the Black Palestinians? What's your connection with them? Have you maybe sat down, talked to them, and everything like that?
The Afro-Palestinians are brothers. Not only have we sat down and talked to them, we're in direct communication with them for years. We've been talking and operating with them and working alongside them for years. As a matter of fact, I was just in Jericho not too long ago, visiting some of our brothers and sisters there, who we have a very, very strong bond with. So, of course, absolutely.
I just wanted to mention that just new facts are coming out. There's a viral TikTok speaking about the Al Abid community. I don't know if you heard about that, talking about how Abid is just kind of like slang for slave, and how it's still this prevalence of racism that plagues not only, everybody talks about Israel, racism, but there's also racism on the other side. So just talking about how we're really we have our own team. I really just want to stress that with this call. You have your own team, and you have your own outlook on life. You don't have to get persuaded to be on one side or the other. You can be on your own side, and that's not a bad thing to do. But going forward from there, brother, that was really one of my most important two questions that I had to get out. From now, we can go smooth sailings into kingdom solutions. What
Yes, sir.
solutions do we have from Village of Peace that we can go into? Starting off with businesses. What businesses do you guys have? I know you guys have ice cream, which I can't wait to try when I get over there. But besides that, what else do you guys have?
Listen, Chris, I'm about to shock you, so I need you to sit in your seat. Listen, the two largest factories that are manufacturing and producing vegan food in Israel, and Israel today is known as the vegan capital of the world, with Tel Aviv being the vegan capital of the world, are actually being produced in the community in the Village of Peace in Dimona. The first one is called Teva Deli. They've been operating since the 1980s. And the second one is called O10 TV, which has been operating since the 2000s. They produce 90% of the foods, the vegan, the vegan raw materials that are being provided to all of these restaurants and wholesale shops and all of these is actually coming directly from the community. In addition to that, we have inside of the community, we have our own sewing center. So it allows us to be able to produce, to design our own clothes from A to Z. Not only that, we also have the midwives in the community, right? Because we have our own birthing center. So this birthing center allows us to, up until now, to have delivered 1,000 babies. So now we're taking that knowledge of deliverance of children 100% naturally and disseminating to places in the world. We have internally, we have the ministry of abundance and well-being, that its responsibility is to sit and to coordinate with business-minded people in the community ways to be able to develop sustainable solutions business-wise, and to take all of the institutions in the community and to turn them produce a business model for these for these institutions and for these businesses that could be able to continue to sustain the community. And
wow,
so
it's like a black business incubator.
exactly.
Wow. Okay.
Exactly. So, you know, and this is something that we're getting moving. We also have our internal transportation methods. We also have the choir, right? The choir is one of the main money makers for the community, because since the 1970s, we've been performing all over Israel and all over the world with some of the largest superstars. I mean, I'm sure, you know, there's some people you may not be familiar with, you know, who we've been operating closely with, like Stevie Wonder. I don't know if you ever heard that name before, you know, but maybe, you know, we had our sister Whitney Houston to come up also, you know, in 2005 to visit the community. And we've been working, you know, on some things. I mean, Erykah Badu, you know, we had some songs with her. And so internally, business-wise, we have a lot of ideas. I don't want to expose, you know, too many of those, because these are things that we're working on, you know, internally. And we also have to be aware of the fact that we're not the only ones who are listening to each other.
That's right.
Right. At times there are others who are going to get a whiff of what it is that we're talking about. And so some stuff you don't want to expose, you know, too much online, because I'm sure that they're looking for, you know, for whatever reasons, you know, and I'm not going to even go into that, but they want to know, you know, what's being produced, what, you know. So we're not going to talk too much about that, but we do have, as you said, the incubator, the business incubators, right, to be able to develop businesses from a lot of things that we have to provide to the society. I will leave it just like that.
So what about the school? Like, how do you guys operate the school? I know we mentioned on the last call that we talked about you had prayer in the morning, 10 commandments and things of that nature. But if you want to go a little bit more in depth, Black history, like what else do you guys, you know, teach in school?
So, you know, initially when we established the school in the edifice itself that we have today was actually established in 1994. But before that, when we initially came to Israel in the 1960s, we were not accepted into the Israeli educational system. So we had to establish our own educational system. And that educational system was a system that the children simply would wake up in the morning and transform the kitchen into a school, or go and sit down outside on rocks and then transform those rocks into a classroom, or go and sit on these benches with splinters in them and, you know, come bring a whiteboard from somewhere, and then that'll be school. So what we learned then was that before reading and writing and arithmetic, there are things that are way more important than that.
Yes,
Having
sir.
some manners
Hmm.
is super important. Being able to be accountable, which is super important. Thou should not steal, thou should not kill, thou should not bear false witness against your neighbor,
Hmm.
which is super important. Honor thy father and thy mother, which is super important.
Hmm.
Then on top of, once we get these things, this is the foundation. Once we get the foundation going, now we can go into the next things, right? Which is the reading, the writing, the arithmetic. But then on top of that now, that's not enough, because we know that most people who finish pre-K to 12th grade, they come out with nothing.
That's true.
They cannot go directly into the working field. They have to go. Most of them have been convinced they need to go now into college, and then from college they'll be qualified to be able to find a better job that'll be better paying. And then what that college degree does for them, practically nothing, because then you need to have not only the college degree, now you need to have some working
Mhm.
experience in that area.
Yep.
And then on top of that, you're going to be paying for the next 30 years first the student loans back,
Yep.
and then you can be able to get on your feet. So what we're teaching then is a way for us to be able to take what we've managed to build in the community and to show people how they could be able to capitalize on these things that we've managed to build, so that we can help them to merge into some of these businesses that we're building,
Yep.
to help them to merge into some of these institutions that we already have established, so that they wouldn't
Mm.
have to go out and find their way on their own. Obviously, it's a work in progress right now, right? But these are the things that we're actually teaching in school. We want to provide practical tools
Mm.
that will allow the children to be able to go right into the workforce as soon as they finish school,
Do you
so that
guys
they
have
can be.
trades in the
Okay.
school? Do you guys have any trades in the school?
Well, that's something that we've been working on for the last few years, right? Specific trades with, again, we don't want to go too much into those things, but specific trades within the school that could allow the children, once you finish school, you could be able to directly go. Because one thing about our people today is that we believe that you need to have some type of certification to be able to get into the workforce.
Yep.
But a while ago, right, one thing that sustained our families was the fact that the men and the women, they had trades that they were able to go directly into the workforce
Mhm.
and be and use for years, 30, 40, 50 years in the same job. And they don't owe nobody no money
Mhm.
from college. They don't have to do too much to be able to find a job. These are things that will forever be needed in the world. And so we map these things out. We understand what is necessary in this day and time, and then start to put the emphasis on what. So we have AI that is now becoming, you know, very important. So now we need to take that and to incorporate that into the educational system
Yep.
in the school, to be able to allow the children to understand how to use AI tools to their benefit, to their advantage, in a
Mhm.
world that now some jobs are becoming obsolete,
Yep.
because the AI is taking over.
Yep.
But the AI is only taking over because the AI is starting to control us, as opposed to us controlling the AI.
That's
But
right.
if you have the ability to be able to use that you and you know how to feed the algorithm in such a way where it could be able to help you to become your personal assistant and another 30 other assistants in whatever area, to be
Mhm.
able to shoot out the information that you need, so that you can be now not only able to compete, but now you become an authority in certain areas.
Mhm.
Then that's what we're putting our emphasis on. That's what we're going to continue to put our emphasis on right now.
I think that's a great point. And I see AI like on a future scale. I see AI evening the playing field, giving us an opportunity to automate some of our systems and get some free labor out of the AI. There's many
Mm-hmm.
things that you can use it for. You can
Yeah.
use it for accountant. You can use it for business models, business ideas, images. There's a lot of things you can use it for. So, influencing Black youth to go that direction, to get that degree or to get that certification, so we can build a more sustainable system for us all. I think that's very crucial for the next couple of years. And even that VR, I don't know how familiar the community is with VR, But that is also the next wave in the next 10 years. We need to get on the cutting edge of these fields, these industries, so we can make sure we have a stronghold in it. And like I said,
Quantum computing.
exactly, exactly. And if, like I said, this is evening the playing field. So if we get in right now, you get in early, there's no telling where we could be in 50 years, 100 years. I don't like talking about other countries or but thinking about where China or other countries were 100 years ago, 200 years ago, or Japan, when, what we did, but for them to bounce back so quickly, it's really just education, technology, and getting on the cutting edge of it, making sure that your population is always staying educated and I don't want to say young, but making sure they're young minded, that you don't want to that you want to learn these new systems. You don't want to push them away and say, "Hey, I'm getting old. It doesn't matter to me no more." But you actually want to, get involved and see how can it automate this system. What job can I create for the people coming behind me using this? So that's a great point.
One of the greater things also, when you look at Japan, for example, they have a
Mhm.
system internally where they encourage workers in whatever field of work they're operating in. They encourage them to be more proactive in
Mhm.
providing solutions to problems that not only the company is trying to provide an answer to, but also to what they see outside as potentially being an
Mhm.
issue later on down the line. And so and they use this AI in such a way now where it allows you to be able to feed it the information. See, because right now where it allows you to be able to feed it the information. See, because right now the AI don't have the ability to be able to think rationally,
Yeah.
and they don't have the ability to be able to calculate things based on emotions and based on feelings, right?
Mhm.
But when you understand where it's headed, you would understand that at one point or another you'll be able to feed the AI information, and people will be able to use AI like they use or like they communicate with people, probably even better, because the AI is almost becoming more intelligent than we are.
That's right.
You provide information to these systems, right? And the systems then, based on other data, other information that they bring from other places, they can be able to provide to you solutions that you didn't even know there was a problem with,
Mhm.
right? And so for us now getting into these things on the ground scale, on the ground level, right? Allowing us to be able to understand how to be able to, like you said, free labor out of these systems that are going to be like your right hand man at one point or another is super important, because it even allows you to be able to understand, based on the trajectory of the world right now, what issues are we going to encounter later on down the line.
Yep.
And so now you understand what may be potentially issues that you're going to encounter later on down the line. So now you're beginning to provide solutions or think about solutions to issues that haven't even occurred yet.
That's right.
And it puts you way ahead of the curve, because nobody's even thinking, people thinking about, that's the innovative mind. You thinking
Yeah.
about things that have not even occurred just yet.
Hmm.
You're trying to find solutions to situations where people don't even know that there's a problem just yet. But
Yep.
but this is the foundation for that. And if we can get in right now, which we are getting in, which we should be getting in, and putting our emphasis and our attention towards these things right now, to be able to position ourselves for later on, so then once everybody else jump on the bandwagon,
Hmm.
we'll already be ahead of the game.
Yep.
And so whatever it is that we left as crumbs in the back, we can be able to now take, or they're going to take it from behind and pause. But you know,
Yeah.
they're going to receive that information that we're leaving behind, and we're going to already be further ahead.
Yep.
And so they're going to be operating on what we've already forgotten.
That's right.
But these are things that we need to implement. And so it's good to have a system like we have in Dimona, where we have our own school, where we can be able to implement these things in our school. There's nothing stopping us.
That's
The
right.
only thing that is a hindrance at this point is the financial component,
Mm.
because it's super hard to be able to get financial assistance from the Ministry of Education and others when you have a small school, a small system. Because what
Yeah.
they want to do is they want to just take those few children and just
Put them in their schools.
put them in other schools,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we there are already a whole bunch of schools. I mean, why don't y'all just go to other schools? Yeah, because other schools are not going to pray in the morning. Because other schools are not going to be fully vegan.
And they're not going to teach Black history.
Because other schools are not going to teach our history.
Straight up.
Because we won't be able to see teachers who look like us and who are able to connect to us on another level emotionally, because they understand where we're coming from. You're going to have some people who are just coming there to do their job and go home. But we don't need educators. We need dedicators. We need people who are dedicated to the building, to the expansion, to the strengthening of our community. We need people who are dedicated to implementing in the children, right? To inject into the children what they need so that they can be able to be the great people of tomorrow. We need people to be able to help them to understand the greatness that they have in store, and not because they say that when children start off in school, right, they start off like this together. Right? Both kind of bent over or whatever, because they don't know what system they're going into and they're trying to figure it out. Right? Yeah. But by the time we and others get to about 7th, 8th grade, one is standing up straight and tall like this, and the other is kind of on the side trying to understand where they fit. Because what it is that they're teaching don't really apply to us. When you're teaching history and you don't see yourself in there, then you're trying to figure out, okay, so if we don't have any great people in our lineage, then possibly we just may be the hewers of wood that they've been talking about that we were, right? If you don't see anybody in your lineage, right, who you could be able to say was a builder, was a provider, was a producer of things, that civilization is using today, were the builders of civilization, then you would just think that you're worthless. Well, at the same
even then, the idea of courage, seeing people who have courage in your community, what the Village of Peace shows for all of us is to have courage and to have faith, like to see what the founders, how much courage you had to have go from Chicago to Liberia to Israel. Like that is what inspires the next generation. That's what makes them feel like, okay, I can be an explorer. I can go explore the continent and set up a community over there. And that's already something that's been done before. So it makes you feel like you can obtain it. And that's what's missing. But go ahead, brother.
No, I mean, it just makes everything then becomes real. Exactly. Right? Everything becomes real because everything that's being done, when you see that it was being done by people who look like you, when you see that you are able to achieve greater than what you've been told up until now, then you start to move in that direction. You move with a different conviction. You move with another level of pride and of confidence, and knowing that you are able to achieve, to do whatever it is that you would like to do, because you know that you have examples for those things from the past. But if you're only being taught history of other people who don't look like you, who you don't relate to, right? Who, as far as you're concerned, are people who've only oppressed you, people who've only been against you, people who are your sworn enemies, then that puts you in a position where you would forever think that you never have the ability or the opportunity to be able to rise above whatever your current condition is, because you feel that there's forever a glass sitting above your head.
That's right.
And there was one thing, and I'm gonna turn it back over to you, but there was I heard the story one time, right? Of this I'll tell you the story about the elephant and the story about the fish. Which one you want to hear first?
Let me hear the fish.
Okay. So they put a fish into this pond, right? And they gated off the pond from all four corners. And it was only able to move just a few meters here, a few meters there, a few centimeters here, a few centimeters there. And then it bumped its head. Now, every time it bumps its head, it loses confidence in its ability now to be able to go from the current condition, the current state that it's in right now.
Yep.
It bumped its head so many times to a point where when they remove the boundaries, the fish still would only swim within those same boundaries, although the boundaries don't even exist anymore. because now it's conditioned to its own mind to believe that those boundaries are still there when they're not. They've created they've created boundaries in our minds to make us feel like we are not able to go further than this because of the circumstances that we've come up against, right? But those, they don't exist no more now. I mean, the systems, yeah, there's still systemic racism and discrimination and oppression and, you know, the attempt to be able to blackball us. But at the same time, we are only limited right in the world of today by our minds.
You're
That's
right.
the only thing that's limiting us from doing whatever it is that we want to do, is our minds that's limiting us. So that's the one with the fish. The one with the elephant is that they tied an elephant up once, right? When the elephant was small. With a rope, it was, I mean, significant enough to be able to hold the elephant back.
Yeah.
So the elephant didn't, tried to move, couldn't move. Tried to move, couldn't move. The elephant got a little older, a little bigger. Tried to move, couldn't move. Tried to move, couldn't move. It got a little bigger. Tried to move, couldn't move. Tried to move, couldn't move. At a point where the elephant was so big that this small rope couldn't do nothing to it, all it had to do is just move his foot. The elephant, do you know, still wouldn't move?
Yep.
Because it's been conditioned to feel like it can't move because of past experiences. But then what happened? They lit a fire. And when they lit this fire, the elephant didn't even think about the boundaries. The elephant immediately, in order to get away from the fire, just started moving and pulled away. And then realized that I could have did this a long time ago.
That's right.
But the circumstances had to be so dire for you to feel like you are up against the wall, and if you don't do something, then you're going to be consumed by whatever the circumstance is at the moment. And so it forced the elephant then to make a move that they didn't even have to calculate in their head, what is the possibility of me being or not being able to make that move? Because the only other option is that I'll get consumed by whatever the circumstance is. So I would rather at least try and not succeed, and not even think about not succeeding, because the only alternative that I have is me being consumed by whatever the reality is that's trying to consume me. And so that's the state that we're in right now, that on one hand, we are swimming in this pond. We've created our own mental boundaries because of circumstances from the past. And at the same time, we are not even taking that leap because things haven't become dire enough for us to feel like if we don't do this right now, then this is where we're going to be in a little while. So we only have one other option. The other option is to just do it. Don't think about it. Don't try to calculate. Just go ahead and do it. You know this needs to be done. Go ahead and do it. And then you'll find out that you were the only one who was holding yourself back. Once you reach the capacity and the ability to be able to go forward, you prevented yourself from being able to go forward because you have put these boundaries on your mind that don't even exist. They're not even real. It's, you know, you're living in an alternative reality in your own mind because somebody had put that in your head.
That's a perfect analogy for our community. Like you said, we're over 40, 50 million of us here. You know, we're still going around in a circle over and over again. Are we going to vote? That's coming up next year. Okay. What are we going to do after that? Are we going to protest? Okay. What are we going to do after that? And it's like the same thing that we're repeating over and over again. And this goes back to what I said in the beginning. Having this call, knowing the Village of Peace exists, we're at a point where you have a break in that energy. That's what I was trying to get at. You have a break. You have a streamline of energy that's flowing, this righteous energy that's going on with the Village of Peace and what we're trying to build and construct. All they have to do is just look. Like you said, the chains are on our minds. All you have to do is just throw off the chains on your mind, and we can conquer. I want to say we can. The world is limitless for us, and that's really segues into our next topic. Actually, basically, tell me, what holidays do you guys celebrate? I know you guys celebrate Passover. That's very important. I kind of want you to kind of break down what Passover means. A lot of Black Americans don't know what Passover is, but that's a very important holiday and concept. But besides that, what holidays do you guys celebrate in the Village of Peace?
Well, we celebrate all the holy days from the Bible, from the first five books of the Bible. So that means that we'll start our new year in the springtime, which is the time of the year when everything is blossoming and everything is being renewed. So that'd be the first of Aviv or Nisan. Then afterwards, we will go into the high holy days, which are usually in September. So you have the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets. Then after that, you have Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. And after that, you have 8 days of what is called Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles.
Yeah.
And later on, you have Shavuot, which is the Feast of Weeks. We also have incorporated Elders Day, which is in November. It's a week period of time where we show our appreciation for our elders. And so we kind of pamper them and bestow all of the blessings on them. Then we have in February Yom Mokirim, which is the Day of Appreciation, which we come together as a united family to just appreciate one another. Every 2 years, we have what is called the Unity Day. We just had it this year, where for an entire week, we all come together as a community in unity with one goal and one desire going forward, and that's to continue to produce what we've managed to do up until this period of time, but just ensuring that everybody is in lockstep with what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And so when you look at the holy days that we are incorporating, in addition to the other ones, it's really just all about community. It's about appreciation. It's about love. It's about unity. But when we look at the high holy days, which are Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shavuot, um, Yom Kippur, Shabbaton, Zichron, through Passover, all of these are directly biblical. So we do on Passover. We don't eat anything that is leavened, right? So this is the feast of unleavened bread. So we're not eating bread. We're not eating anything with leavening in it. But it's not just about the leavening, the physical leavening, but it's also about the spiritual leavening, to get that leavening from within our midst. You know, those things that are causing strife and discord in the midst of the people, or those people who have, something that they're holding on stony hearts. Then we try and get those things out of the midst of the community, because we know how those could be able to affect everybody else in the midst. So this is a period of time where we, between the Passover and Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, there's a 6 month period of time, right? Usually. And so within that 6 month period of time, it allows us to be able to, one, make amends with our neighbors. It allows us also to be able to prepare ourselves for the spiritual new year. It allows us also to realign ourselves with our goals, our aspirations, our desires. It allows us also to be in a perpetual cycle of introspection and retrospection. We could be able to continue to look at all aspects of our lives and see where it is that we need to tighten up, to see what things that we need to let go of that have been burdensome for us and have not allowed us to be able to move forward properly. And then it also allows us to, within that period of time, to continue to put our hearts and minds together, so that we can be able to, once we come back around to that next season, we won't just be talking about what we should have done in the season past, but we'll be talking about what we need to do before the next season comes around. So that means that you have a half a year to be able to continue to work on, and then half a year to be able to go back to reassess, and then to go back and to make whatever changes or upgrades or updates in your mind and in your soul and in the community itself, so that we can be able to go back into the spiritual new year with a renewed mind and renewed heart. So you have the spiritual new year, which is Yom Kippur, right? But then you have the physical new year, which is which is the time of the Passover. So between these two New Years, these are times of renewal and continual elevation, especially consciously and communally.
Appreciate you for that. I guess small shout out here. It is the 30-year anniversary of the Million Man March, which was supposed to be the Day of Atonement for Black men in America. So a small shout out to them. And going forward, honestly, I want to open it up for Christopher, Lillian. If you guys have any questions, we'll stop here if you guys have any questions that you guys want to ask.
Questions or comments?
Or comments, yeah.
I guess I'll jump in. Peace and blessings. My name is Lillian Matea. Just hopping on to support this mission and initiative that I am one with. I think it's really important that we have these conversations and that we continue to lock arms, So I'm really thankful to hear more just about the community, because as I'm putting things together for my city of Baltimore, hearing the framework that has been implemented in Israel is very important. It has me to think about the different elements of Baltimore City and how we can really position ourselves to really cultivate the city from a community kind of infrastructure, like a community building, and what does that infrastructure looks like? You know what I mean? So I'm very thankful for your testimony and for you sharing. And yeah, I look forward to continue to lock arms and build. And Pink says, hello.
Hey, is she right there with you?
Yeah,
What's up, brother?
What's going on, my sister? You got a word for the people?
God loves you.
We accept that.
And repent every day.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I'm looking forward to seeing y'all real soon.
I know. I cannot wait. We wish you were here. We're doing another kickback today, like how we did last year. So wish you were here.
Hold on now. Let's try to do something when I get there.
Definitely.
Okay, we can definitely do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love you, brother.
Love you always, my sister. Chris, did Christopher have anything you wanted to share?
Our brother just said, thank you for the work that's being done. We're building on our end, and peace, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
What I wanted to also share, Chris, and I think this is very important, at the least from what it is that we're now starting to work on together, is and I was thinking about this for a period of time, right? Because I was trying to understand internally, how do you get people to come from places like the South Side of Chicago, in Philly, in Baltimore, in DC, in Atlanta, all of these people, now mind you, they would have us thinking that some people were coming from the ghettos, other people were coming from, the middle class. They would have us thinking that we can't be able to get along together, right? They would have us thinking that Black on Black crime is the only thing that we could do when we get together as Black people. They'll have us thinking that the only mindset that we have is a crabs in the barrel mindset. They'll have us believing that we can't establish anything on our own. We have to, have some people from other communities involved, whatever it is that we want to do for it to be successful. They will have us believing that we cannot approach our people and get them to actually invest in not only something that'll be able to produce financial gain, but in the shaping of the next generation of minds for our people that are going to be important to be able to help us in the process of our deliverance and of our awakening. And at the end, deliverance and awakening, but we're also looking at our liberation.
That's right.
They would have us believe that we can't do these things, but then you have people who have come to a community in Israel, have managed to eradicate some of the greater challenges that we believe that we couldn't overcome. They would have us believe that we can't work together. Here we are, we've established a community that is sustainable. They would have us believe that when Black people get together, it's all crime and drinking and drugs infested and all of these things. But here you have it, no guns in the midst. Here you have it, no drive-by shootouts.
Mm-hmm.
Here you have it, no abuse of these substances.
Mm-hmm.
Here you have, I mean, so it'll cause you now to go and to reevaluate what we have thought up until this point was
Possible.
our limit.
Yep.
Right? What was our limit? But now that we've actually established these things, not only are we seeing that they're possible, but we're seeing that the only way that we can be able to do it is that we would have to take our full destiny into our own hands.
That's right.
Otherwise, allowing others to continue to dictate for us what's possible and what isn't will keep us in a perpetual cycle of running behind our own, get out of this rat race, because they've created a maze for us that we can't see our way out of.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we built in the community in Israel, right, is not only a foundation, but it's a way out of the maze, right? We've actually we've actually blazed a way to show that this is how you get out of the maze. Now, whatever it is that you decide to do once you get out of the maze, that's something else.
Mm-hmm.
We can't force you to join on to our community. We can't force you to do what it is to take on, you know, the practical living conditions that we've taken on. We can't force you to go through a lot of the challenges we went through. We can't force you to even want to establish and to build what it is that we built. But what we can do is show an alternative to the world that we see today, to show that there is a different way that is more sustainable and that is more life-giving and life-renewing. Mm. This is what we managed to build in the Village of Peace, Dimona. So when people are looking at the village concept and the village idea, it can be replicated anywhere. That's right. All you need are people who are dedicated to the same principles. And I like to say, Chris, that the community was built on two principles. Mm. One, love God with all thy heart, soul, and might. Mm. Two, love thy neighbor as thyself. When we say God, people make it spooky. That's no, right. It's not spooky. When I say God, this is what I mean. I mean a society, a structure that is built on all of those attributes that we attribute to God. What are those attributes? What do we say? God is love.
God is love.
God is peace.
Righteousness.
Right? God is righteousness. God is justice. God is family. God is the ever-knowing. Right? God is omniscient, omnipresent. All of these concepts, all of these attributes that we give to God, imagine building a society that's built on that is founded on that. Now, everybody have to get in alignment with justice and peace being the foundations for what it is that we're trying to do. Everybody have to get in alignment with loving thy neighbor as thyself as the foundation for what it is that we try to do. And if you can't find love in your heart for your neighbor, then probably this is not for you. Mm-hmm. If you don't believe that you should look out for your neighbor's children, if you don't believe that you could be able to leave your house open and not lock the door and not be concerned about it, then maybe this is not for you. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. Everybody don't have to, but at least we've opened the way to say, okay, this is the way that we got out.
That's right.
Now you can get out. Mm-hmm. This is what we managed to do on the other side of it once we got out. Mm-hmm. We went through, we had to bite the dust already. Mm-hmm. So that everybody else who come out of it wouldn't have to go through that same process. Yep. You wouldn't have to, our ancestors already have the scars on their backs. Mm-hmm. All you have to do now is to take what it is that have been built as a structure that is a working model and just build on that as a foundation. Mm. You don't want to build a community that is a sustaining community of people who are looking to drink water as soon as they wake up in the morning, as opposed to whiskey or pop or anything else. To drink water, you can revitalize your body. That's what we're talking about. Mm. Let's pray in the morning. Let's invoke the Spirit of God into everything that we're doing. Let's start the morning by that. Mm. Right? Let's ensure that because we say cleanliness is next to godliness, but cleanliness is godliness. So let's ensure that we keep our sanctuary clean. Mm-hmm. our house is clean.
Our neighborhood
So
is clean.
that's why I'm going with it, right? So now we're gonna keep the neighborhoods clean. We're gonna keep our minds clean, right? We're gonna get off of these substances.
Yep.
Right? We're gonna stop having to depend on everybody else outside of us to do something for us, because ain't nobody coming to save us but us. Right? We're gonna look at our neighbors and live in a neighborhood as opposed to a hood. Right? We're gonna have that neighbor element in there. We look after each other, right? We're gonna implement all of these things in our environments. So now this is the recipe for transforming the environments from what they are to what they can be. They don't have to be what they are.
And once you set the standard, you don't go below that standard. And that's something we commemorate about the Village of Peace. The standard is set. You're gonna come over there, no smoking, no drinking. You're vegan. Its standard is set. We're not gonna change. We're not gonna alter. Once that standard is set, that's the standard you got to live by. And honestly, when, like you said before, I'm pretty sure you mentioned this on the last conversation. Once you drop your standards, or you let some people do things and other people do other things, that's when that disunity creeps in. And that's where that person is doing this, I can do this. And that's where all that creeps in. So like you said, we're getting back to discipline. And it's okay to say that. We need to be disciplined as a people. We need to have organization as a people. We need to make sure that we're operating in a manner that isn't just selfish or just very independently mine. I'm just gonna think about myself. I don't care about my family, my community. I'm just gonna get mine and keep going. We have to get out that mindset. We have to move forward as a community, as one. There's unity in God. And that's what we have to get back to. We have to become a people who are dignified and want to have a righteous future, not just any future, not just we're just going to survive future, but a righteous future, making sure we're planning and strategizing to build communities, to build institutions, to build businesses, so we can go from nothing to something. And that's what God did when he created the universe, created nothing out of something. And that's where we at right now today. We're at our Genesis. And it's so beautiful to see, have these conversations. We're only going to get further. We're only gonna improve these dialogues, and we're going to get to a point where hopefully one day, brother, we have a VR town hall where we're all in on our VR headsets, and we're building something in the VR world, or we're doing something. This is where we're going from here. We have a vision. We have the blueprint already laid out for us. It's just time to work. And I urge everybody on this call, or everybody who watches this in the future, it's time to work. Whether you're sad, work. You're frustrated, work. You're happy, work. The work doesn't stop. And honestly, even talking about the kingdom, and when the kingdom is actually here on earth as is in heaven, which the Messiah talks about, you're going to be working. You're not going to get to that kingdom and you're going to be like, oh, well, I'm just going to kick my feet back and enjoy the days. No, there's other things that you're gonna have to do. God is always present. God always has the next step. He has a plan. There's always a plan with God. So you're not just gonna get, to this kingdom or get to wherever you want to go, and you're gonna be like, well, I'm just gonna kick my feet back. There's still work that has to be done. And especially in the condition we're in today, there's plenty of work to be done. There's almost too much work on our plates that has to be done. So from there, brother, I thank everybody who's been on. We've been talking for an hour and it just flew past. But again, I appreciate everybody who's hopped on. And if you have any closing remarks, brother.
Chris, I want to just thank you again, my brother, for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
On that end. And us, coming together in lockstep for the work that we are about to be doing together, or that we are already doing. Myself, you, Mint, and the other people who we are going to bring on to the team. It shows where they say wherever your heart is, or wherever your treasures lie, there your heart may be also. And our treasures lie in the liberation and the upliftment and deliverance of our people.
That's right.
That's where our heart is. And with us being dedicated to that, we not only can we not go wrong, we are invoking all the elements to work on our behalf alongside us and with us and all of our ancestors to be able to work alongside us and with us for the purpose that they have given their lives for and that they only wanted to see. Some may not have lived long enough to be able to actually see it coming into fruition. But the kingdom of God is not only within you, the kingdom of God has come on earth as it is in heaven.
That's right.
We are that vanguard. The establishment of the kingdom has already taken place. Now it's our responsibility to make it on earth as it is in heaven. That's but right. In such way where it would allow us to realize, right, that we're living in heaven. To realize what it actually looks like. That's the foundation that we built in Israel. That's the foundation. And the only thing that you're going to hear about Israel in a little while is going to be the things that we're doing.
That's right.
We're not worried about the political aspect.
That's right.
And the wars and all of those things, right? Because in the midst of everything, right, a small light could be able to make a huge difference in the midst of darkness. Right. But then at the same time, whatever you focus on, then that's where whatever your attention flows, then that's what intention flows. Our attention is going to be on a continuation of the expanding of this idea that we've managed to build in Israel. That's where our intention is going to go. That's how we're going to focus our attention from now on. Everything else is a distraction to prevent us from being able to come into the full greatness of what it is that we have to provide, we have to establish. I see that that somebody had wrote in there that, you need to come visit, come home, because our home is your home. Absolutely. And we're working on getting you here. But again, I appreciate you, Chris, for continuing to be, a brother and a beacon of light in the midst of darkness, and one who is dedicated to the work that we need to be doing, and laying the foundation for us to actually be able to go ahead and go forward and do that. My sister Mint, I love you. I appreciate you as well. And
before we get off, Jada, you have any questions? Jada is one of our people from Alabama, so I want to see if she has anything to say.
No, I don't have any questions, but I enjoyed listening to him the entire time, speaking some real stuff that I could take not only like to the organization but personally as well.
Appreciate you. Appreciate
that. Again, said, one thing before we get off, especially with distractions, and I want to urge everybody who hears my voice today and in the future, pray. With all the distractions in the world, just take some time, go into your prayer closet. Maybe, just be still and know God. Maybe if you don't even know prayer, you don't have to get on your knees, you don't have to hold your hands, just be still and know God. And that's something that you can take with yourself for the rest of your life. Having that moment of clarity and that peace, just to have your thoughts catch up with you, have time catch back up with your actions, and don't get distracted by this world. Stay on post, walk your post, be on post, don't get off that post. So with that being said, brother, God bless everybody who watched this video, everybody on Instagram Live. Peace.
Peace, my brother.